This is the Narwhal Flow, a robot cleaner with some very distinctive differences that sets it apart from almost anything else we've tested. It's got things like a mopping roller that's more like a tank, side brushes that have an unusual hinge, a main brush that's only connected on one side, and even the ability to climb over ledges and steps as high as 4 centimeters. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But the real question is, all of these changes and additions that set it apart from other devices, have they actually added to the experience? Or are they just gimmicky changes to sell more robot vacuum cleaners? Well, that's what we're here to discuss. And to start, I've got to obviously take a look at the mopping system because this is the first time that I've seen something quite like this. Previously, I've mentioned I'm a big fan of roller style mops over rotating pads. The pad method does well, but it only supplies fresh water to the pads and then relies on the pads being washed after use. By the end of the run, the pads are usually stinking and you're likely smearing dirty water around the house for the last third of the run. With roller mops, they simultaneously supply fresh water or fresh cleaning solution to the mop, whilst the other side squeegees the dirty water as it comes back around, effectively meaning that you're mopping with clean mop water throughout the entire run. Now, the Narwhal Flow follows that same principle, except with two massive differences. The first is that it's not a roller, it's a tank track. Now, this, I think, is actually a very, very clever way of increasing the mop's efficiency. With more surface area of the mop touching the floor at any one time, it's able to scrub a lot more with one revolution than a regular round mop would. So in principle, it should get a much cleaner result after just a single run. It's hard to compare to a round one because they both work so well, but by law of physics, this is evidently going to result in a deeper, more effective clean. So for much more stubborn messes on the floor, I would expect that this to be a lot better. But the second major difference is that it's not stuck in its positioning. It can retract into the body when it goes onto the carpet, so your priceless Persian rug will remain safe. But this isn't new stuff. Quite a lot of robots already have this. But what they don't have, however, is the fact that the Flow can extend the entire roller out to the side, a bit like one of those 1950s typewriters, so that it can clean the edges better. This deserves a big clap because although I've loved other roller mops and think that they're objectively better, historically, the one thing the pads can do over the rollers is closer edge mopping. They all seem to extend closer to the edge of the robot, and some even have the ability to extend further. All robots I've tested with rollers have them fixed and unable to move. Some robots are better than others, with some having only a very narrow clearance from the edge of the robot to the edge of the mop, but there's still clearance, meaning there's always going to be a build-up of dirt around the edge of your room because the mop just can't get to it. So you've really got to give Narwhal engineering team here a round of applause for this one. Finally figuring out how to solve this problem whilst retaining the better effect of roller mops and even improving it somewhat. And it's not just the mop that has had some advancements. The vacuuming functions have been refined to include some rather genius design choices that have positively impacted the experience, starting with the side brushes. Now, when we unboxed it for the very, very first time, we had the same reaction when looking at the side brushes, which was, We didn't understand the significance of having a hinged arm on the brushes. Everything else we've tested has only ever had the standard 3-arm side brush, all of which are all locked into its orientation, revolving around a pivot point to sweep debris into the oncoming path of the main brush. So with this having just two, and with it being hinged, it had me and everyone else completely stumped. But it suddenly dawned on me when I took a good close look. Do you get it? No? Let me show you again. Let me help you out. In its regular usage mode, the motors spin one way, which is like this, keeping both of them pretty much the same length or distance away from the pivot point. But if it came to a corner, it can reverse the motor, flicking the hinge back, and look what it does. It makes it longer. to get into the corners. How clever is that? And because this is just purely physics-based, there's no additional mechanical parts needed to perform the same function that models with side brushes have on extending arms. And if one breaks, it'll be relatively inexpensive to replace, whereas if a mechanical arm breaks on one of those types of robots, it probably will be the end of the robot's life. So I actually really like this. It's a cool bit of design, and whilst not immediately apparent in its benefits, it actually makes perfect sense. The main brush has also had an update too, and the biggest innovation is that it's only attached on one end. It's designed to taper and move all of the hair that gets twisted around it towards the far side of the brush, eventually twisting off and going up the suction chute. Now for me, living in a house with dogs that have more hair than a lion's mane, and my wife and daughter both having so much hair they often get confused as cousin it, this tends to be an issue more often than not. And it doesn't matter how good companies say their anti-tangle system is, eventually I'll have to untangle it. And every company tries to solve this differently, from a V-shaped brush and even blades to cut the hair off. But I've got to say, I think I like this the most. It's a very effective passive method indeed, because it completely eliminates one side of the motor. You've basically halved your chance of getting it tangled straight away. And given that the motor side is actually shielded by a soft seal on the rotating brush that pushes up against the plate which sits on the top, it's going to be very difficult for hair to somehow find its way through that to get tangled on the motor, which I can't see happening. And hasn't so far. Time will tell, obviously, but I'm hoping that this may be the very first robot vacuum that you never have to untangle. Touch wood. Now, in partnership with this new main brush design, it has an insane level of suction, coming in at a maximum of 22,000 pascals, which is jaw on the floor. That's got to be enough suction to suck peanut butter through a straw. Don't get any ideas. But it achieves this suction through a very clever little design where it drops part of the vacuuming section down, this purple bar here, to create a tighter seal between the vacuum and the floor. This has always been a problem with robot vacuums, certainly that gap between them and the floor, because it always results in a loss of suction. But because the Flow has this mechanism, it makes a massive difference to the overall suction capabilities, especially in carpeted environments. But to test its true capabilities, like with every robot vacuum that I test, I usually sprinkle some heavier, weighty items like grains of rice or hard items on the floor, like porridge oats, to test how much it can pick up. And over the years, I've seen significant variance in result from this. Even some of the best robots I've ever tested tend to fling quite a few pieces around that end up being missed, along with not being able to pick everything up. But this did it exceptionally, to the point it picked up every single piece. And I think that's partly down to the massive amount of suction, but also because of its inbuilt AI. This AI is called Frio Mind, and it comes with the tagline, "Choose whale spirit hosting," which sounds like I'm about to use a Ouija board to summon a whale to possess me or something. But evil spirits aside, this AI adjusts cleaning strategies based on the environment, and the one thing I noticed was that it would come up to a pile of stuff, pile of detritus, slow down and carefully go over it. Now, I'm 99.9% certain that everything else I've tested has just blasted over it at full speed, which is what results in spreading piles of stuff everywhere. But the proof is in the pudding for how much better this slow down nature is at picking stuff up. It gives it more time to pick up more, which is less likely to spread it about as well. And honestly, I would go as far as saying that this is possibly the best performing robot cleaner that I've used in the studio so far. For some further commentary on the AI, it actually performs really well identifying different obstacles within a clean and showing you exactly where and what they are. But also it's pretty good at understanding the room layout and the furniture in it. Clicking on a 3D map shows where it's placed things like toilets and sofas and tables, and I think this is a really cool visualization to show you what your house is actually like and where the robot can and can't clean. I tested the AI further by placing a shoe, a bottle, a squeaky pig toy of which the squeaker has been eaten by the dog, and a charging cable on the floor to see how well it avoids them, and the precision is insane. It gets within a millimetre of most of the objects to clean right up to them with that mop without touching them. So obstacle avoidance on this thing is incredible, and even the cable, it knew enough to stay far away enough so that its front brushes don't get caught. And then after it all, you'll find that it's categorised those objects on the map for me. So really impressive AI system in this one. The precision is incredible. Now, talking about where it pulls all of the gubbins in and picks it up, it has an internal dustbin which has a lot of modular parts to make it easier, inverted commas, to take it apart for cleaning. Now, I'm not sure this modular design has any other benefit, although perhaps this design has also aided with the level of suction, but in my opinion, it possibly comes in one too many parts for my taste. It seems a little more difficult to manually empty if you ever got it clogged, although as of yet I haven't been put in that position. But once it's finished vacuuming, it goes back to the station and auto-empties into the charging station's own internal dust bag, which is a bit of a pain point. It's an additional consumable that you'll need to pay for every month or so, depending on how dirty your house gets in between cleans. As of yet, I've not tried a robot vacuum with a base station that has a bagless system, mind. So the first person to do that wins all of my love forever and ever and ever. But still, the bag that the Narwhal have included is big enough to not have to change it for a good few months. Also in the station is the clean water reservoir along with the dirty water reservoir, which just shows how much the robot picks up in terms of unseen dirt. It's bloody horrible. But these are massive and will last a good while if you leave the robot on its normal mopping setting. Interestingly, there's no auto detergent delivery system, which is a bit of a shame, but it does come with its own solution to mix into the clean water tank. And lastly, you'll find it's where the robot washes its mops. And with this one, it's quite interesting because it washes the mop with 80-degree water for true sterilisation, minimising bacteria and cleaning it properly, and then it dries the mop too to stop that damp mop smell that you inevitably get with traditional mops. Overall, it's a great design station, friendly and fun, just like the robot. I mean, there's a few other things about the robot's design which I haven't yet mentioned, which have aided its functionality, such as the fact that the nav hat that you'd normally find the LiDAR and other sensors on the top isn't actually there. Instead, it's moved to the rear, which has resulted ultimately in a smaller device, allowing it to go underneath furniture far better. And talking about its movement, it's able to climb up small steps with its little motorised legs. And other things such as the ability to drive it round in FPV mode just make this a really great all-in-one robot. And in all honesty, I think this is potentially the most complete robot cleaning experience that I've ever had. But more importantly, I think it might be the best. But does the best come at a cost? Well, it's in a pre-order phase at the moment, shipping, I believe, from August the 27th. As far as I'm aware, they're offering a discount to anyone who pre-orders, making the price $1,099. If you want to take a look, as always, I'll drop a link in the description, or you can scan this QR code if you're watching on TV right now. But as of the moment, I don't have the UK pricing or the UK release date, or if it's actually coming here at all, which is a shame. But this is certainly one you're going to watch out for if it does. So check that link and see if there's any info on it coming out anytime soon. But regardless of if it's out in the UK or not, if you're in the US, I think at that price, it's an absolute astounding value because this is cheaper than some of my previous favourites have been at launch, but I think objectively it performs better and offers more functionality. That doesn't mean it's perfect though. There's still a few things that I do have to critique. I've said a couple of times that I'm not a massive fan of consumables. And for me, there's a few too many consumables on the device. You've got the dust bag in the station, there's the dustbin in the robot, and then there's even little filters in the tray station, which are all considered consumable and replaceable. For me, the less consumables a robot has, the higher marks I can give it. But other than that, the design is excellent. On a software point, one thing I've noticed is that it sometimes doesn't quite understand when it needs to step up something and when it needs to not step up something. The official height of the ability to step up objects is 40 mil, but we tested this on a few things that were slightly under that and it just didn't want to step it up. Thankfully, that may just well be a software thing, or the fact I was using a very small square slab. And I've gotten this at pre-launch, so they're still probably developing and improving things before the launch date. But despite that one software thing, everything else has worked flawlessly, and I think that Narwhal have knocked it out the park. Funnily enough, this is the first robot vacuum that I've tried from Narwhal, and I'm absolutely kicking myself that I haven't tried anything earlier, because I'll come out and say this now, that I think I've found my new favourite robot cleaner. It's not perfect, no, and there's lots of little features that can't necessarily be considered groundbreaking, but they've taken features, innovated and refined them a lot, and it's all come together to make an incredible performing device. I have a strong feeling that other brands will look to try and imitate some of these refinements, because the solutions that Narwal Flow has provided has really upped the game for robot cleaners. But what do you guys think? Despite the incredible power and efficiency and functionality, is it worth the asking price for a spotless clean or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we can all have a good chin wag over it. And if you found today's episode helpful, don't forget to return the favour and hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you guys back for another episode of STU'S Reviews soon.